Go ahead, Mr. President. This is Houston out.
Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made. I just can't tell you how proud we all are of what you... For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives.
That was then President Nixon speaking on the phone with Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin as they walked the lunar surface in 1969. A few years later, NASA's 1972 Apollo 17 would be the last time astronauts would land on the moon. Now, after more than 50 years, NASA is ready to return with the scheduled launch of its Artemis 1 rocket this morning from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Once launched, the rocket and capsule, which has no crew on board, will spend 6 weeks orbiting the moon before returning to Earth. If the test flight goes well, the next step is putting astronauts in orbit around the moon in 2024 before attempting a landing in 2025. Joining us now from the Kennedy Space Center is NBC News correspondent Jake Ward. Jake, is the weather cooperating this morning?
Good morning, Mika. Certainly the weather at this point is extraordinarily beautiful. I'm here from California, and I still can't get over what it looks like to be in Florida at the break of dawn. An extraordinarily beautiful, clear day. The trouble, of course, is getting this system, one of the most powerful, certainly the most powerful, one of the most technologically complex systems ever to leave Earth's gravity. Getting it ready for launch, that's another matter. Now, just to talk for a second about the purpose of this mission, because you can so quickly get bogged down in whether it will go at this particular moment. I just want to touch on how extraordinary it is to go. I mean, on the one hand, NASA and the whole space flight enterprise has changed immensely. I mean, once upon a time, this facility, the Kennedy Space Center, was an entirely, government-only top-secret facility. Today, when you drive in, it's got launch pads and buildings operated and in some cases even owned by private companies. Nearly 1,000 private contractors went into building this particular rocket. And when we speak to the researchers about what it is to go to the moon and why we want to send humans there, their ambitions are really quite startling. Have a listen to the chief scientist in charge of what we would find out upon the moon when we land humans there. Have a listen.
Humans are just much better field geologists than robots are. We can think faster, we can react faster, we can absorb what's going on around us better. We can also do more complicated things in terms of sampling. We're digging trenches and taking drill cores and making sure we get really the right samples back and not just random samples back, right? So, in Apollo we went to 6 places, but they were all kind of in the same part of the moon, the sort of central near side of the moon. And now with Artemis, we're going to go and explore an entirely new part of the moon. We're going to go to the South Pole, some of the oldest rocks of the moon. We've got this water and volatiles that we think we can explore there as well. So there's some new stuff.
So what is so amazing about the possibility of going to the South Pole is that idea of perhaps getting down there and looking at water in there. At this point, what we are waiting on for the launch today is the combination of hydrogen and oxygen in the various tanks on board the spacecraft for them to be ready to go. You have to remember H2O, water, hydrogen, oxygen could in fact be a fuel source for onward flight from the moon. So the ambitions here are enormous. And if, as you mentioned, this one gets off the ground today, then we wind up with the possibility of another launch in 2024 with people aboard it, and then 2025 actual boots on the moon. Now, those are the big picture amazing things here. Let's talk about the earthly matters of whether it's going to go off today. At this point, NASA sources are telling NBC News that the 8:33 a.m. scheduled launch is probably not going to happen. It is slipping because the pre-flight checklist is so complicated and because they're falling behind. Weather has been difficult up until now. There's been a lot of complicated issues. Currently, they're having some trouble getting hydrogen to flow properly through the third of 4 engines on board. But there is hope in that there is a 2-hour window. 8:33 to 10:33 is that window. The bad news, of course, Mika, weather is forecast to get worse over the course of that window. If it doesn't fly today, it could fly Friday, but weather's supposed to be bad then. And if not Friday, then Monday, in which case the forecast also has bad weather. So it's not looking great for a launch right now, but certainly the ambitions here, I don't know, for some reason they stick with me, even though we are, of course, going to be disappointed if it doesn't go up today, Mika.